So I think I fit in the role because through this observation period, I got to know how an organization really functions, and I really think I can manage different roles as a business analyst and as a project manager too, because you have to deal with multiple persons in the different teams, right? Like the sales teams, the scientists also, and we have to report directly to the founder. So I think managing all these things at once and understanding all the aspect of the person, like I belong to a biology background, so I can understand what are the biological aspect of the problem. And I'm also interested in business analytics because I have realized the problem, and I have connected with it. So I think I'll be able to understand the sales people and the marketing people because I know what the industry wants. And I think we can deliver the products in a better way if we can maintain a more customer retention. So yes, I think I belong to the DT group, and I think I'll be adding on a lot of things if I get into it. I have more respect of like a multidisciplinary approach towards this because I think I can relate all these topics together, and a data analytics dashboard, which is the knowledge graph which we are creating here, is basically an interconnected dashboard that we will be building. So a person who is building this dashboard needs to know every aspect of the problem and need to connect with everything that is coming up, the queries that are coming in, and the data we are using. So we need to connect all these dots together. So I think I can do that better, uh, knowing multiple approaches towards the problem. Thank you. That's it from us.
Thank you, Aditi. Yeah, Madhav.
As we know, in DT, we value more to leadership, and in order to make better decisions, we should know the holistic purpose of the organization. So, as we know, like we don't have any background in biology or anything. It gave me a reason to learn to go through all the aspects of the organization in order to make a better decision, to make better decisions. And I find myself fit for this role because I will think about the company as a system rather than focusing on a single aspect like generally data scientists do.
Okay. Thank you, Madhav. Over to you, Utkarsh.
So, as the observation process of detail, like for 4 days, I observed that it's more focused on like learning, and I'm quite fascinated to learn and explore myself to a different field. So I can get, I can broaden myself instead of get deepness. I can broaden myself and explore myself and get different knowledge. And the point of responsibility that I have already worked on like one of the research project in my university. So I know the responsibility, and I have worked on under pressure, how like we have to complete the work on time. So I know the responsibility of that. And in business also, I can say my family background is business, so I'm quite familiar with that also. So I think it's good for me and a good opportunity for me to explore myself, and working with such a good team and scientist, such a great scientist, and to explore myself and get some more knowledge, it will be better for me and for my future to grow myself. That's it.
Thank you, Utkarsh. Anyone else wants to go in? Okay. So Krishna, over to you for your questions.
Yeah, I mean, I have maybe two questions that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So, because, there's a lot of information that comes in, and we need to process that information and kind of structure that, right? So would like to maybe just understand how you guys would approach a situation like that. So let's assume that, maybe this is not probiotics company, but let's assume that we're in a company where maybe something that's easier to understand so that all of you also have that knowledge. Let's take maybe materials, right? You're a company that is making new materials, and there's a lot of different types of materials that you create, right? And there are companies that want these materials in their products that are coming to you, right? So let's say their questions will be around what is the material that is best for my usage? Why is this the best material? Like those kind of questions. How do you think you would approach like first organizing the data just around, let's say, materials that you guys have, right? Like what would your approach be to structure the data?
I have a question.
Hmm.
Like, what kind of materials are we? Like,
So
there can be
let's say
many.
these are just different alloys. These can be something like carbon fiber, or like, it could even be wood. It can be alloys. You have like various kinds of materials. You also have developed some new materials, right? But you have existing materials also, whatever you find outside. So people are coming to you with questions, and you have to provide them with the right solution, right? So how is this existing materials that you find every day around you? How are you structuring that within your knowledge base, or like whatever data structure you're using? Uh, and even maybe the new materials that you have come up with, because a lot of new materials also are created. Plastic and all of that are materials that are created, right? Composites. So you're a company that also creates these things, right? So how do you structure all of this data in a way where when someone comes to you, you are able to recommend them a particular material?
Are we also customizing the product for them? Like,
You yeah, you could also customize something to their needs.
I think Utkarsh went in first and Aditi can go in next. Yeah. And Madhav goes in third.
So I think according to me, first we need to categorize the material, like what is it is made of, and why we are using it, in what form we can use it, and where we can use it. So according to customer, they will ask where we can use it, like what are their demands, and according to them, what they ask for, we can
Could you
supply
give,
them according.
could you
Sorry,
give an example of could you give an example of what you're just stating?
yeah. Someone is asking for the alloy for, like we can say, for building house, so we can categorize the alloy, if we will make a alloy, then we will categorize it, like it is for alloy, it is for making nails, it is for making wheels or something else. So we can categorize it in company only, and when the customers came to us, then we can ask their requirements, why they need, what is their purpose to do with that alloy or the material, like, so we can provide them with the right suitable material.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, Utkarsh. Over to you, Aditi.
okay, so we are dealing with the same problem, right? There are a lot of influx. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we can do is, as mentioned by Utkarsh, we can categorize, but categorization should be specific. Um, like what kind of company is approaching to us? We can also analyze the market, like what kind of market is growing up, because the plastics market is really growing in a decade ago it was growing, but now we are more towards biodegradable products, or the products which are suitable for the environment. So we can analyze the market first, and then we can go into manufacturing. But also we can, if companies are coming up with the questions like, is this product biodegradable? So we can answer that question, but firstly we need to make sure that we are up to date with the products and the market requirements. So that is one way that I think we can approach with the problem. Also, we need to update the sales team about the new product that we are manufacturing, because as I mentioned, we need to upgrade with the market. So we will update the sales team so that they can market these products, and uh, our company can grow. Um, that's it from my side.
Over to you, Madhav.
So we can categorize, uh, for example, we can categorize the alloys on the basis of the product that the client wants, and the when we make alloys, it has to go through a process. For the process, we need some raw material, and what we can do is we can make nodes out of those process and raw materials, and we connect those nodes based on their relations. For example, if we need to make an alloy, a tin, for example, if needs two metals, we can join the metal uh, metal node to the uh, process node. In this way, we can build a knowledge graph through which we can see how these alloys are made and how the entire process is taking place. Thank you.
So I mean, yeah, these materials, because most of you said use, right? Like you categorize it by what it's used. There'll be thousands of uses because it could be maybe used in different types of companies. Let's say from wheels to like furniture to buildings. Like there's so many different types, right? So I don't know if categorizing by uses can be a great way, because that might not give you the best. You may want to understand the use and then recommend something. So maybe that will be a tag. But is there any other like things? Basically, if this is like, just imagine this to be maybe like an Excel sheet, right? Where you have all of your materials that you have. Tell me what the columns of that Excel sheet will be. What will the rows are each material A, material B, material C, material D, right? Let's say now what are the columns for each of that? What do you store in order for you to get to these customer queries quickly? So let's say one column is what you guys mentioned, use, and that will be many things, right? It will say this XYZ industries most commonly used, right? What could the other columns be of this material? What data do you think we want to store? So this table is like your go-to resource when you want to answer queries, right? So think of maybe the potential queries that you will get, and what all information you want to store with respect to a particular material.
Yes, Aditi, you may speak.
So we can enlist our customers, like which are the companies that are our customers and what kind of products they are referring to, what are their market they are approaching to. For example, if it's a plastic company, so
Yeah,
they'll be,
I'm not sure if you understood his question. Krishna's question is, if your rows are the materials that you're selling, right? Let's say your material is aluminum, tin, or something like that. If the rows are the materials, against that row, what will be the columns? What are the details of each product that you'd like to store across the columns? Was this question? Yeah, Utkarsh, what do you?
So we can go with the uses and the like.
Other than usage was his first part.
Yes, yeah, I'm going on. Like the conditions where it is going to be used, like what are weather condition and the environment condition. Like if it is going to be used in water, then it should be different material. It should be like who don't get the rusting part, and it should be waterproof. And if it's not going to be used in that such condition, so it should be different. And the second one is that environment and the weather condition and the, I think so. This only, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of a few more? What other information do you capture about each material?
Like we can go with this also, like it's biodegradable or not. We can reuse it or not. We can go with this also. If someone wants the biodegradable, like we can use it, and again we can reuse it, recycle it, and reuse it some kind of material. Or that in term of long lasting also, how can it sustain for how many years or something like this. We can go with all this.
Yeah, Madhav.
We can also add the raw material from which it is made from, and also their quantity. Like in order to make certain alloy, what quantity of a metal is required.
Okay, you mean composition?
Yes.
Yeah, Aditi.
So I had the same point that we can mention the materials, but we can also mention the sales data, that um, what what are the sales of that particular product, so that if we get any queries related to that, we can directly go in and check what was the sales data related to that, and we can answer the query.
Yeah, Madhav.
Also, we can add our resources, like what amount we have them, so that we can assign, we can decide whether we can uh, we can satisfy the demand of the customer for now or not.
Yeah, Bhuvneshwar.
Yeah, my point also was the same. I thought it would be like how frequently the product is going, and how yeah, that's it. How frequently the product is selling. That's what the
Yeah, Bhaskar.
I think we concentrate on the demand and supply manner, which is in demand, which is not in demand. Based on that, we will categorize.
Any other ideas of columns? Yeah, Madhav.
Market price of that alloy.
Okay, cool. So I'll ask another question, and after that maybe we can do one to two. So I mean, in this situation of, let's say now you're helping this founder who's into this materials business that we just spoke about, right? And he has a team of people who are actually doing these sales, but there are certain questions they're not able to answer, and hence they're coming here. But also in situations like, a customer would call up the founder and say, your sales team is not answering my calls, so I'm calling you, right? Your sales team, whoever they're normally supposed to talk to, they are not answering. This is a customer. He's calling the sales team is not answering their call. So he directly called the customer. He directly called the founder. So at that point in time, let's say you were in this place where you know that now, okay, the sales team is not answering, but and that's why also they're getting these calls. What would you do in that position? Like, you would, what is the action that you think you would take in order to, because you're also trying to help the founder to be more, have more time, right? So tell me that how you would act in this scenario.
Yeah, Madhav.
We can grant access about the database in a limited amount to our clients, so that they can run their queries and get the results. Like not not each and everything about our database, but only those parts which is actually asked by them.
Okay. Yeah, Utkarsh.
For this, we can go with the chatbot, like who can answer the customer call and the text messages and all.
I think my question is more about what would you do in that situation as you observed this, right? That when customers, when the inside sales team is not like picking up the customer's call, the founder is getting the call. That obviously happens, right? And you are trying to help ease the founder's like workload, right?
Okay.
So what would you do in that scenario? You're saying you said you introduce a chatbot to whom here?
For the customer, like if they get a
Okay,
call,
so the
like if you are
customer
calling,
doesn't have to. Let's assume that like the calls have to happen. It's not about like automating that or removing that.
Krishna, I'll just
if they,
so this is a B2B business model, right? The purchase order, the value is very high. So people may not just trust a chatbot's response to take decisions. They'll want that human connection, right? So to get a human response, they've called a salesperson. That person didn't pick up, so they directly called the founder. So how do you respond to this situation? Was this question? Yeah, Utkarsh.
like it won't happen regularly. Like every time salesperson can't answer, this won't happen now. Like very few time, like some of the critical situation only the salesperson will not answer. So for that time, we can pass the call to the chatbot, or we can make a man for that like emergency situation. We can make a man to sit for answering such type of question. We who can available for 24/7.
Yeah, Bhuvneshwar.
Yeah, automating chatbot was a great idea. And first of all, I would like to raise this point. There might be work for the salesperson as well. So I'd like to first go to the salesperson and ask him the reason why he couldn't take the call, and I go that way. And yeah.
Yeah, Aditi.
So we are basically getting the questions about like the multidisciplinary questions with the thing, the product, right? So I have a question like, what kind of data are they really talking about in the questions? Like, we are getting queries.
Aditi, I think the calls may not be related to data alone, right? So there could be some work due to which they're calling up the salesperson, right? They may have some concern, or they may
Their order hasn't been like they come yet. Their order hasn't been dispatched yet from the factory.
So maybe in this particular scenario, we can redirect them to a particularly assigned team for that. Redirecting may be an option for that.
Yeah, Bhaskar.
Here I will create the knowledge graph that gives the relationship between concept and topics, which gives the valuable resource. Based on this valuable resource, the business development team will able to answer the client's queries without randomly going to the founder. So based on this valuable resource, they will find the answers. By using that answer, they will give to the clients without going to the founder.
Bhaskar, I'm not sure if you understood the question. The salesperson didn't answer the phone call for whatever reason. So the calls are coming to the founder and you want to be reducing that. Not sure if you understood the problem. Yeah, Utkarsh.
Like for temporary solution, we can ask the customer to connect with the some other authority, like or we can inform the lower authority to contact with the customer. But for the temporary solution, we need to make some automation, or if not automation, then we need to make some emergency kind of situation for which we need to make a people to sit and answer the questions in such conditions.
Okay. Actually, I'd like to just ask one last question, and then maybe we can go to this. So let's say you want to free up someone's time, right? What would your approach be in order to free up someone's time? Like, how would you just go about that as a problem? Okay. So just starting with, okay, so you see someone very busy, okay, constantly doing some activity or the other, and you want to free up their time. What would your approach be to doing that?
Yeah, Madhav.
I will help with that work. I will help in that work so that she will get time.
Yeah,
Okay.
Madhav.
Okay, so if a person is constantly busy in a particular work, that means it is somewhat manual in nature. So I will try to automate that process so that he will free up from that work.
Yeah, Aditi.
Yeah, automation can be a thing, but redirecting, like breaking down the work into pieces and giving it to like the teams that are assigned for that can be a thing. Like we can create a system that if we are getting a particular query related to that team, we can do if that we can take that query from the founder, and then we can redirect it to the team which will handle the query, and maybe then they can connect to the company or the customer. And
It's like your brain got fixed to the original problem. Krishna has asked a more fundamental problem. Ki there's a person you're going to help. That person has a very tight schedule, and you want to free up a bit of time for that person. How do you go about solving this problem? Was his question. Yeah, Utkarsh.
Like I agree with Madhav and Aditi, like we can go for automation or we can distribute the work to the team. But if I see that the work is small and I can help, then I will go for help. And
I mean, let's talk about identifying the problem before like automation and all our solutions, right? What is your first? Maybe the people who answered also could answer again. What would your first step be in order to identify what problem, what you want to automate, or what you identify the main thing you want to help with, right? Because there's a lot of like there's 15, 20 different tasks, and there are sometimes different kinds of tasks also, right? So what would your process be in order to come towards, okay, this is what I need to help with?
Just to add a little context to Krishna's question, I think one sort of mistake which sort of you guys brought in is you jumped into the solution without first trying to understand the problem. A lot of amateurs make the same mistake. If you remember, in the beginning also I asked you, okay, what do you understand the problem, and everybody directly jumped into the solution. So in order to solve the problem well, I think it's very important to first understand the problem, right? So what Krishna wants to understand from you is not how you will solve it, but how will you go and understand the problem in the first place. So there's somebody whose schedule is full. You want to free up the schedule. How do you go and understand the problem in the first place? That's the question. Yeah, Bhuvneshwar.
Yeah, I would like to ask him first what the task he's doing and what the difficulty he's going through. Then I try to share his work with.
Okay. Yeah, Utkarsh.
like we can see that like it's a usual routine, like he's daily getting into that busy schedule stuff, or it's just for one day. So if it is the daily schedule stuff, then we need to hire some more man for the particular work. And if it is not, if it is for some particular day, so we can help him out. We can go to him and ask for him to like why he's so busy, and we can help him out with some particular question, like in what work he is busy. And if it is possible, we after figuring out that what actual problem is, if it is possible we can help, then I will try to help him out with my potential.
Anybody else? Yeah, Madhav.
Uh, like I will make sure what kind of work he is doing. If the work is not repetitive or manual in nature, then most probably we can't help it by automating it. So if the work is more like repetitive in nature, we can automate the process and reduce his workload.
So again, Madhav, you've gone into the solution space. What the question was more in terms of how do you understand the problem in the first place?
Like, yes, I will make sure what kind of problem he's going through, and after that only I will
Make sure what?
like talking to him, like what he is busy in, what kind of the thing that he's doing.
So is your approach just to talk, or you have any structured way of understanding the problem?
So on the basis of his response, I will make solution. So for example, one of the
I didn't ask
response
you how you'll make a solution. My question is, how do you understand the problem? You just said I'll talk, but do you have any specific way to understand the problem?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. What is your specific way to understand the problem? I think talking is like, there can be one way, yes. But, through that talking, what is it that you're asking? And what is it that you're collecting?
Yeah, Aditi.
So if you're getting a problem, there might be a gap in the system. So what we can do,
Again, you're jumping into the solution space. How do you understand the problem?
yeah, so identify, like, there is a problem. So what we can do is, like, there must be a gap in the system. Like,
Again, you're jumping into the solution. How do you understand the problem?
Yeah, how do you understand the gap in the system?
we can, like, go to the teams that are handling that particular thing, and then we can, like, see how the process is going on in there, and why is that particular problem coming in, and why is that problem redirecting to the founder himself. So we need, like, to identify these gaps to understand the problem. That's what I'm stating. Identifying the gaps to understand the problem. That's what my point is.
Hey guys, sorry to step in here, but don't you think it starts with first understanding the routine of the person? You're jumping into the solution, but wouldn't it start with first figuring out what does this person even do? So
seeing the calendar, how much time is what task taking? What task is taking how much time?
let me pose this question. Once you have the calendar, what would be your approach? Once you've gathered all the work allocation, right? I mean, how much time does she spend on each activity? Once you get that data, what would you investigate to understand the problem? Yeah, Bhaskar.
I will gather that particular problem domain knowledge. Based on that, first of all, I will try to understand the problem. Based on the, I will define the problem.
How will you understand the problem is a question. You've not understood the question. Look, there's a person who's working, say, 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day. You want to free up some time from that person's, calendar. So how do you understand the problem? You have a calendar, you have how much time the person is spending on each task, right? What would you investigate next to understand the problem? Yeah, Madhav.
We will investigate in what tasks critical thinking is more important, and in those tasks I will not put my hand in, and the task in which critical thinking is not important, I will try to
Why?
automate that.
Okay.
Because machines learn a particular process.
Madhav, again, the problem is you're jumping into the solution, typical amateur's problem, jumping into the solution without trying to understand the problem. Right? It's like this. If you're a hammer, everything in the world looks like a nail, right? Set out on a mission to hammer everything which you can find versus trying to understand what is a problem. I've got data science, I'm going to brute force do an automation everywhere. versus trying to understand what is this problem and what does it require. Yeah, Bhaskar.
I will ask what he want, what he is expecting, what is the output he want.
Okay.
Okay, Aditi.
So, looking into the calendar, can we just identify what kind of day they are having? We know they're busy, right? But can we just look into the things which they can like give some less time, and maybe some things are um, like they can require less time, but so assigning the time to them, like a particular amount of time to every task. If there firstly if there is unnecessary amount of time going into a particular task, then we can just reschedule that time, uh, and then we can, like, we can think what if how are they not able to answer all these questions, because like they have this time very fixed into other tasks. So yeah, analyzing their calendar, and then we can come up to a thing that if this person is busy and is having devoting a particular time to the assigned task, and that's why they are not able to just give this time to this particular query. And if we can get some time out of somewhere in their calendar, we can just like extract out some time, and if there is some unnecessary time going out here and there, we can extract out that time. And in it may be going into the solution part, so I think I need to stop here.
Yeah, Utkarsh.
Okay.
So
Cool.
by seeing the calendar, their daily schedule, what they are doing, so we can figure out where he has spent more time. Like if the schedule was fixed, then what makes him being stuck in this work? So we can go approach to him and ask him like in what kind of stuff he's stuck with, and maybe we will try to figure out.
Hmm. Okay, I think
Krishna, I'd like to ask one last question before.
Shall I answer?
Yeah, Madhav.
So first of all, if we have the time schedule of the founder, there might be chances he might be wasting the time in other activities. So assuming that he doesn't waste any time, he is constantly into working. Uh, I will find out in which work a lot of decision making is there, which is very crucial for the company. So in that part, I will not touch it, and for the rest of the part, I will I will try to find the solution.
Okay. I'd like to ask one last question, so it's a meaningful conclusion to the entire experience. I understand all of you are beginners. You know, I mean, it's quite understandable that you've not dealt with real problems. I mean, if I were answering Krishna's question, I would have thought of what part of the schedule was known at the beginning of the day and what part of the schedule was unplanned. I would try to understand when does unplanned work come in, when does planned work come in, what part of the work can be delegated, what part of the work cannot be delegated. So these are some of the questions I would ask. So I think with experience, you learn things like understanding the problem space, right? Spending some time to understand the problem space first, so that you can then find the appropriate solution, right? So instead of a hammer, you might need a scissor over there. So understanding the problem space becomes important. So the question I have for you guys is, look, some of you may be good at interviews, some of you may not be good at interviews. So I'll give you that we'll discount that piece that some of you may not be good at interviews. The question I have for you at the end of this entire experience is, do you think you're humble enough to learn? And do you think you're open enough to be a real world problem solver, right? Because this role is not about putting one Excel sheet and writing something there and writing some algorithms. It's a lot more about real world problem solving. And it's about serious impact, because the entire organization is going to be impacted by what this person does. So A, do you think you're humble enough to learn? B, do you think you're open enough to engage in real world problem solving than be married only to the algorithms and the spreadsheets? And C, do you think you're responsible enough to figure out a solution and then do it if you do not know how to approach it? So how do we know we're looking at the right person for this? What is your self-assessment at the end of this entire process? Yeah, Aditi.
So I would like to firstly repeat the three questions, if I'm not wrong. Firstly, am I humble enough to learn from this process? And I'm forgetting the other two parts.
You're open enough to solve real world problems.
Okay, the real world problems is the second thing. And the third thing,
Responsible enough to find it if you do not know how to deal with it.
okay, responsibility, humbleness, and real world problem solving. All right. So as a learner, I have developed that skill during this observation period, because there are many concepts that I have learned in this 3 days, because I have no idea about the business part, but asking questions is what I think is a learner should do. And during this interview, you have opened my eye about asking the right questions and analyzing the problem to the root. So yes, I think as a learner, I need to grow, but I think I'll incorporate that into myself. And about real world problem solving, I think I'll need to develop that in me. But with time, I think I'll start gathering information about the whys of the company's process. So it may be like I need to incorporate design thinking and systematic approach towards the real world problems. So I need to inculcate that in me. And yeah, I'll do that for sure. So, and the third part is I have really bad memory.
Responsibility.
Responsibility. So yes, I'm responsible regarding things. So I like to approach things very responsibly. I know being a perfectionist is not is overdoing things, but it also has a different perspective of a perfectionist. So we need to make things more organized and responsible. So yeah, I think that is in me, but from a perspective of a perfectionist, and not because we are overdoers. Everybody thinks that, but a right amount of perfection is what we need, that I think. So yeah, I can take responsibilities and I am humble enough to learn. I think I'll incorporate all these learnings into the real world problems that I think is I will do.
Thank you, Aditi.
Thank you.
Over to you, Madhav.
Yes, I think I'm humble enough to learn, because from the past 6 days, like the 6-day observation period was a sort of life changing for me, because I learned a lot of things, like how to condition your mind in order to make good results. For example, like you have a problem. What we are doing is like I just did in this interview, that we we have the tendency to find the solution of the problem first rather than understanding about the problem. So yes, I learned that. And regarding the solving real world problem, I will try to see the problem from the vision of with other aspects as well, rather than the technical aspects. And yes, I'm responsible also, because responsibility just doesn't mean that you have to excel, you have to do all the works and all. It is more about uh, not blaming others, and accepting that the thing is not done, and reporting the right thing to your supervisors. Thank you.
Yeah, Bhuvneshwar.
Yeah, most of the times when I don't understand or I don't get anything, I just go work on it. I just try to learn it. Each time I don't get if I don't get anything, mostly I work on it. Second thing I can say, as I'm a fresher, I haven't worked on any projects except my projects from the from where I'm learning. And third thing, uh, yes, as I have learning mindset, yes, if I even if the problem is I'm not understandable of the problem, I try to work on it. I try to do more work on it, and I try to handle it. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Bhuvnesh. Over to you, Utkarsh.
Uh, as I say, I want to explore now, like I want to explore and broaden my knowledge so I can grow. So the basic things to explore and broaden knowledge is you should be humble to learn. If you are not humble to learn, you can't explore and get more knowledge. And if I share my experience, uh, in my PG, I was not having Python in my curriculum, but I learned that just for my project and the Python, and I was working on image processing project. So it was not familiar to me at all. Like it was completely new to me. But because of I need to do something and I need to learn, so I get into it and I just learn the things and I completed with the project. And about if I talk about the responsibility, like I've worked on the some of the projects of university, and now also I'm working on the some research kind of projects. So I know the responsibilities and the real world problem. So I'm not basically familiar much with the real world problem, but the project which on I was working, it was the real world project only. So it was assigned to my one of the professor under whom I was working. So I know how to work on the real world problem and what are the problems can come and how we have to tackle that problem. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Utkarsh.